So what I want to do now is actually hear from our youth. We want to hear from our graduates just a little bit about what their experiences are. And so today we have with us three graduates, and I'm going to have them just tell us a little bit about themselves. So Karina McMorris, Chazli Pierre, and Tara Okola. So we're going to start off with Karina. So Karina, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi everyone, good night. Wow. Well, first of all, I am from the West Indies, so my background is totally 100% different. So I'll share it, of course, but just like Clayton, I mean, you hear, how my background is, kind of different from what I've experienced here. So I came here in 2019. Came straight from Japan. I was living in Japan. That's a whole other story. I did event marketing and at Seneca, and also I did project management at Humber. My passion is pretty much to bring ideas to life. So if you have an idea, I love working on projects, bringing ideas to life. That's my passion. So that's why I got involved in project management, and also marketing. So that pretty much sums up who I am.
Thank you very much, Karina. Chaz, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Chaz, and I'm a recent graduate from Seneca College. I'm a person who's very much into technology. Before I got into my program, which is computer programming and analysis, I used to do a lot of things related to computer stuff. Like I built my own PC, and I worked on different video editing and photo editing stuff. So moving into software development was a pretty good decision for me. Like my goals in life is to contribute to making people's lives easier through the use of technology, and I try to keep that mentality whenever doing any projects related to software development. How can I make somebody's life easier or their process easier? And yeah, I guess that's an introduction about myself.
Great, thank you very much, Chaz. And Tara, last but not least, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Tara Okola, and I'm a recent graduate from York University. I graduated with a bachelor's in women and gender studies. So something that not a lot of people know that is a program at York University. I always get questions like, what did you study about women? What is that about? But when we get into the questions, I'll definitely answer or explain more about my program. I am very passionate about intersectional feminism. I consider myself an intersectional feminist, a Black intersectional feminist. I'm also very passionate about diversity advocation and community involvement. So I do want to get into social work to advocate for minority inclusion and just to because minorities are very visibilized in Canada and of course the GTA that we live in. I want to bring forth that issues that not a lot of people know or choose to ignore that happen to minorities in the GTA. So that is where I want to go in the near future. And thank you so much for having me today.
Great, thank you so much, Tara. Thank you. So now what we're going to do is get into some questions, and Clayton is actually going to monitor and moderate the questions with the students. So Clayton, I'll turn it over to you, and you can start having the discussion, and everybody else, you can continue to do your artwork and you can listen in and hear what our students have to say.
Okay, thank you, Charmaine. And again, thank you, students, for being with us, and welcome again. So I'm going to start with, as we advance throughout the program today, I think I'll start with a high school question based on those experiences first. And I will start with Tara, if you could answer first. Just tell us, did you face any challenges as a Black student in high school that affected your educational goals?
A lot of challenges, actually. I went to a predominantly white high school. If you're familiar with the city of Vaughan, it is majority a white population. So I would say 15% of my high school was of minority, and of that, I could count on my hands how many people were of a black or within the African diaspora. So the first challenge I will say that I faced was, well, Charmaine and you, Clayton, discussed the code switching. So just navigating like when I could switch on and off like the persona that I had at home and with my community, and what I could be at school, because at school there is such a double end sword, that if you are too much of who you are at home and culturally who you are, you're considered ghetto, those types of words, ghetto, an angry black woman, you're just not the ideal student. And then when you're home or with people in your community, if you're too studious, like you were saying, Clayton, that like the anti intellectuality, you're considered whitewashed, or you're considered like a sellout. So it was a huge challenge navigating when and where I could navigate those different personas. Also, a huge thing was dress coding, especially for Black girls in a predominantly white school. Black girls are hypersexualized. So the trends that you would wear, that your peers were wearing, would seem hypersexualized, and I would say even naughty on a Black girl. So you'd get disciplined more than your peers for wearing the same exact clothes. So there's so many other microaggressions that I could get into, but those are a few things that I had to navigate.
Thank you. Chaz, same question. Any challenges as a Black student in high school that affected your educational goals?
I think I've experienced a similar, uh, uh, had a similar experience to Tara, in that I came from a predominantly, I wouldn't say, I guess, white. It would be more Asian and more Persian culture, but I didn't really have a lot of Black peers while I was in high school, and I felt that that I was still able to make friends with other people, but I felt that it would be I would have an even better experience if I had other people or other people like me to basically be able to yeah, I feel that it would I would have had a better experience if I had if there was like more Black people around me to I guess share more common experiences, and yeah, that's what I have to comment there.
Okay, thank you. Karina, I know that you're from Jamaica, but if you feel as though maybe you have things to add also, I know we're talking about it in a Canadian context, but if you have things to add also.
Well, of course, my countries were full of Black people, so I didn't have that type of challenge. But the challenge that I had as a student in high school, you had to be on the same par or level as the people who had money or who were richer, right? So if you, for example, I'll just use like a backpack. If you didn't have like a JanSport backpack, you weren't a part of the crew. So you had to dress just like Tara, I think you were saying. You had to dress according to how everybody else was dressing, even though you wore uniform, but you had to have on the same type of shoes, for example, in order to kind of be a part of a special group of because I went to an all-girls school. So you had to be wearing shoes, or your hair had to look the same. You had to be that kind of a person to be a part of a certain group. But that was the only challenge I had as a high school student.
Okay, thank you. So let's go try to move into let's try to move into post-secondary. What support would have been, well, let's continue with high school. What support would have been helpful in enhancing your educational experiences? What supports would have been helpful in enhancing your educational experiences? And I think you can answer high school or post-secondary, actually. And so let's go with, reverse the order and go with Karina this time.
Sure. So one thing in my era, because I'm not that young, what I would have liked to see, okay, so back then, you had to be like a lawyer, you had to be like a doctor, those type of jobs are like, accountant. What I would have liked to see is them giving us more options, just like Tara, you mentioned your career, I've never heard of it, just since, we've always heard of these top career. So I would have liked to see like other careers that, would have fitted our characters a little bit more than we had to force ourselves into doing. Okay, you have to be a lawyer, so you have to do this subject, or you have to do accounts to be an accountant. So I would have loved to see more of that. Again, we didn't struggle too much with racism much where I'm from, so that wouldn't apply to us that much. But where career is concerned, I would have loved to see more of that, expansion where I, as a student, was in high school, could do other things other than the ones they say, okay, you have to be this.
Okay, thank you, Karina. Chaz, what about you? What supports would have been helpful in enhancing your educational experiences?
I also agree about more options, or just having more information about potential career opportunities, especially as a new high school student or a person about to be going into college. I think that like as I went through my college experience, I learned that there was a lot more positions and jobs available that I didn't even know about until I got into the program. And I think that having this information available like at high school, or even potentially earlier than high school, could be beneficial for new students, because they could make I guess a more informed decision on their career choice if they have more options to know like what they want to do. And I guess the second thing is I think that I used to take advantage of the grants programs at while going to school, but I think that grants are also a good way to help support students, especially if they're doing well in their studies. Yeah, I think that's my answer there. Grants, and just knowing like what options are available for career paths. And yeah.
Okay, thank you. And Tara, yourself?
I actually have a lot of points.
Go ahead.
I think the education system should teach all types of students from all type of backgrounds more about Black history. Both we learn a lot about, I think, American Black history here, but also Canadian Black history. I feel like that is something that has not been brought up in the classrooms. In all the years I've been in school, I've not learned about Canadian Black history at all in school, and that's so surprising that like people be like, what do you guys do for Black History Month? And I'd be like, nothing. I even found it surprising in high school. I remember I was in grade 10 and